Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, you're not just here to learn English. You're here to remember something powerful. Your time is your biggest gift. In this episode, we're learning English. Yes, but we're also learning how to protect our energy, how to choose what matters, and how to stop wasting the most precious thing we have. This is not just a language lesson. It's a life lesson, told in simple, clear English so you can grow your skills and your soul at the same time. Because time is more than ours. It's your attention, your peace, your chance to live with meaning, and I'm so glad you're here. You don't need more money to feel rich. You don't need more followers to feel valuable. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You just need to see your time as sacred and use it with love. Whether you're learning English or learning how to live more deeply, this episode is for you. So stay with me until the end, because every moment of this journey will remind you of one simple truth. You still have time. And what you do with it can change everything. Let's begin. The clock that doesn't stop. There's something you carry every day. You can't hold it in your hands. You can't store it in a box, and you can't buy more of it. No matter how rich you are, it's not your house, not your car, not even your money. It's your time. Time is your most personal gift, because once it's gone, it never comes back. Let me ask you this. How many times have you said, "I'll do it tomorrow"? How many times have you delayed something important, thinking you had more time? We all do it. We scroll for hours. We chase things that don't matter. We wait for the right moment. But time doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause when you're confused. Time doesn't slow down when you're tired. It just keeps ticking. And here's what makes it the biggest gift of your life. You don't know how much of it you have. The day he didn't say goodbye. I once heard a story about a young man named David. He had a busy life, meetings, emails, traffic, always running late. His father lived in a small town just 2 hours away. And every week, his father would call and say, "Come visit, son. I just want to have tea with you." David would smile and say, "Soon, Dad. I'm just busy right now. I've got deadlines." Weeks passed, then months. One Friday, David finally cleared his schedule and said, "This weekend I'll go." But that night, the phone rang. His father had passed away in his sleep. David went to the funeral with shaking hands. He looked at the empty chair in his father's garden, and he whispered, "I thought I had more time." That moment stayed with him forever. And that story changed me too, because it reminded me, time is not guaranteed, not for you, not for the people you love. What you trade for time. Have you ever thought about what you trade away when you waste? Time? You trade peace for distraction. You trade growth for comfort. You trade dreams for delay. Every minute you spend on something is a minute you could have spent on someone, or on becoming someone better. Imagine this. What if you treated your time like money? Would you spend it differently? You wouldn't hand $100 to a stranger just to watch them throw it away. But every day we hand out our time to things that don't deserve it, scrolling for hours, arguing with people who won't listen, chasing trends that fade in a week. If you knew your life had a countdown, would you still live the same way? The power of 1 hour. Let me tell you another story. A young woman named Amina lived in a village where education was rare. She had one book and 1 hour every evening after work. Just 1 hour. That's all she had, but she used that hour like gold. She studied under a dim streetlight. Every page she read felt like a key opening a new world. That 1 hour turned into knowledge, and that knowledge turned into confidence. Years later, she won a scholarship, and now she teaches girls in her village. She didn't have everything, but she had time, and she honored it. The quiet regret. Most people don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do. They regret the words they never said, the trips they never took, the love they never showed, the dreams they put off for later. But later is not a date on the calendar. Later is a thief. It steals your joy, your growth, your connection, and you never see it coming. Time can't be returned. You can return clothes. You can refund a ticket. You can rebuild your money. But you can never return time. So protect it. Don't give it to people who drain you. Don't waste it on things that leave you empty. Time is your personal currency. Spend it on purpose. Spend it with people who matter. Spend it building a life you won't regret. Every day is a choice. You wake up every day with 24 hours. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. We all get the same gift. The difference is in how we use it. Some people use it to build. Some use it to rest. Some use it to love, to learn, to serve, and some throw it away without even knowing it. What will you do with yours? The days you don't get back. There's something strange about ordinary days. They seem so small. They pass without drama. You think, it's just Tuesday, nothing special. But ordinary days become the ones you miss most. The quiet breakfast, the walk to work, the way sunlight landed on your pillow. You don't realize they were beautiful until they're gone. That's the nature of time. You live it forward, but you understand it backward. A father's watch. An old man once gave his son a gift. It was an old pocket watch. Scratched, faded, not expensive. The boy said, "What's this? It's old." His father smiled and said, "Try selling it at the pawn shop." The boy returned and said, "They offered me $10. His father said, "Now take it to the antique store." The boy came back shocked. "They offered me $1,000. The father nodded. That watch is worth nothing to someone who doesn't know its value, but everything to someone who does. Then he added something the boy never forgot. That's how your time works too. To some, your time means nothing, but to the right purpose, it means everything. Who's earning your minutes? Have you ever stopped to ask, who is earning my minutes? Because your time is always being spent on something. The question is it being spent on purpose or by accident? Some people steal your time with drama. Some waste it with gossip. Some distract you just to keep you from moving forward. Every person you let into your space is someone you're giving minutes of your life to. Would you hire them to manage your most precious resource? If the answer is no, maybe it's time to let them go. The quietest thief. Distraction. We think time gets stolen by big emergencies, but more often it slips away in silence. A scroll here, a quick check there, a binge watch that turns into 4 hours of lost energy. Distraction is the thief that knocks quietly. You don't even notice it entering until your to-do list is still full. and your dream is still a maybe. Be honest. Have you ever ended the day feeling tired, but not fulfilled? That's not because you did too much. It's because you gave your time to things that gave you nothing back. Time makes you rich or poor. There are two kinds of wealth in life, money wealth and time wealth. Some people are money rich, but time poor. They have all the money, but no peace, no rest, no freedom. Others are time rich. They live slowly, intentionally. They say no often, and they build a life that feels full, even without millions in the bank. The richest people are not those who have the most stuff. They're the ones who spend their time in a way that feeds their soul. A minute of courage, 1 minute. That's all it took. She stood backstage, shaking. It was her first time speaking in front of others. Just a small local event, maybe 20 people. But, to her, it felt like the world. She wanted to run. Her legs were trembling, but she gave herself 60 seconds of courage. She stepped up, cleared her throat, and began. And her voice changed someone's life in that room. That 1 minute of courage led to years of growth, connection, and opportunity. All from a moment she could have wasted by walking away. Time reveals. Your truth, time shows you who you really are. Because what you do with your time reveals your true priorities. You can say you value health, but do you move your body? You can say you want to learn, but do you read, watch, or ask? You can say you want to improve your English, but do you speak it, even alone? What you give your time to becomes who you are. So the most powerful question is not, what do I want? It's, how do I spend my time? Because that answer never lies. The cost of delay. There's a high price for waiting. You just can't see the bill. You pay with missed chances. You pay with fading dreams. You pay with days that look the same. Waiting for the perfect time is like standing on a train platform. Watching opportunity after opportunity pass by, while telling yourself, I'll get on the next one. But sometimes there is no next one. Sometimes that was the last train, and you don't realize it until the platform is empty. The gift you carry right now. You don't need more motivation. You don't need perfect tools. You don't even need more time. You just need to see your time differently. You are holding a gift right now. The gift of this hour, this day, this season. It won't last. But if you use it well, it can build something that does. A skill, a memory, a story. Something that outlives the clock. The invisible clock inside us. All you may not hear it ticking, but it's there. An invisible clock inside each one of us. When you finally pay attention, you'll never remember every minute you spent online. You'll rarely think about the hours you spent worrying, but you'll remember moments when you felt fully alive. That hike where the sky opened up. That conversation that healed something in you. That quiet moment when you realized, I'm okay. These are not accidents. These are the rewards of paying attention. When you stop rushing, when you stop numbing, when you stop hiding behind distraction, time reveals its magic. 1 hour can change. A life teacher once asked her students to write down, if I had 1 more hour today, what would I do? The answer shocked her. I'd call my grandpa before he forgets my name. I'd tell my mom I forgive her. I'd go for a walk and let myself cry. 1 hour, not a day, not a month, just 1 hour. What would you do? Because here's the truth. You do have that hour. You just might be giving it to something else. The one-day trap. One day I'll travel. One day I'll write that book. One day I'll say what I feel. But here's what people don't realize. If you say one day too often, it quietly becomes never. That's how time works, not with a bang, but with a quiet goodbye. The clock doesn't yell when you're wasting it. It just keeps moving. So don't wait for someday, because someday is made out of today. Life isn't a race, but it has. A finish line, you don't need to rush, but you do need to remember this is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing. Every day you wake up is not just another day. It's one day closer to the end. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, to remind you that this moment, right now, is more valuable than gold because it's alive, and it's yours. It doesn't tick out loud. It doesn't light up your screen. It doesn't warn you when it's running low, but it's always moving. Every heartbeat is a second passing. Every breath is a moment you'll never get back. You don't know how many hours are left. You don't know which day will be your last. And that's what makes time sacred. Not scary, not sad. Sacred, because what is rare is also precious. A grandmother's garden. There was a woman who loved her garden. Every morning at 6 a.m., she would walk barefoot through the dew-covered grass. She'd touch the leaves, talk to her plants, and smile as the sun rose. One day, her granddaughter asked, "Why do you wake up so early just to look at flowers?" The woman replied, "Because one day I won't be able to, but today I still can. And that means today is a gift." That story always humbles me. We wait for big reasons to be grateful, but life is built in small ones. Sunlight through your window. Clean water. A message from someone who remembers you. Moments like that don't demand attention, but they deserve it. When you stop noticing, you start losing. Have you ever noticed that time speeds up when you stop paying attention? 1 minute, your child is learning to walk. Then you blink, and they're packing for college. One moment, you're learning English word by word. Then suddenly you realize you haven't practiced in weeks. Time rushes past when you stop being present. You don't lose time because of age. You lose it because of autopilot. That's why presence is power. It turns 10 minutes into something memorable. It turns an ordinary moment into a lifelong story. The scarcity that makes time special. If you had unlimited time, you'd never feel urgency. You'd say, "I'll apologize later. I'll start learning next month. I'll follow my dreams someday." But time is not unlimited, and that's not something to fear. That's something to honor. Imagine this. If someone gave you just 1 cup of water for the whole day, you would sip it slowly. You would carry it carefully. You would not waste a single drop. That's how we should carry our time. With care. With intention. With respect. Because when something is limited, it becomes priceless. A moment that saved a life. There was a man who stood on a bridge. He had lost hope, lost money, lost direction. He thought he had nothing left to give, but just as he was about to jump, a stranger walked by and said, "Hey, are you okay?" That one question, that 1 minute of care, stopped everything. That stranger gave him one more moment, one more breath, one more chance to begin again. Today, that man is a volunteer. He stands on bridges sometimes, not to jump, but to help others step back from the edge. Never underestimate the power of 1 minute, not when it's full of love. Are you investing or spending? Let's talk about money for a second. When you spend money on something temporary, it disappears. But when you invest it in something that grows, it multiplies. Time works the same way. Spending time is passive. Investing time is purposeful. Scrolling social media is spending. Practicing your skill is investing. Complaining is spending. Solving is investing. Small changes in how you use your time lead to big changes in how you experience your life. Start treating every hour like a seed planted in something that will bloom. The power of undivided time. You've probably been with someone physically, but their mind was somewhere else. They nodded, but didn't really hear. They looked at you, but checked their phone. It feels empty, doesn't it? Now think of the opposite. Think of someone who gives you full presence, who listens, who looks you in the eyes, who stays until you finish your sentence. That's the power of undivided time. You don't need to give hours to show love. You just need to give your full self, even for 5 minutes. That kind of time is unforgettable. Time is the mirror of your life. Here's something few people say. Time doesn't change you. It reveals you. It shows who you're becoming. It shows what matters most. It shows who you keep running to and who you keep running from. Look at how you've spent your last week. What does it say about what you value? What does it show about what you believe? Time doesn't lie. It reflects the truth. If you don't like what you see, change where your hours go, because where your time goes, your life follows. What you do while you wait, we spend so much of our lives waiting. Waiting for the right job, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for someone to understand us, waiting for life to begin. But the truth is, your life isn't on pause. It's happening. Right now. Every moment you spend waiting is a moment of your one precious life. And the question isn't, is it worth the wait? It's, what are you doing while you wait? A bus stop and a breakthrough. There's a story about a man who waited at a bus stop every morning. Same time. Same spot. Same silence. For years, he stood there staring at the ground, thinking, worrying, just passing time. One day, he forgot his phone. No distractions. He looked up and saw a woman sketching on a notebook. She was drawing trees, people, shadows. He asked, "Why do you draw here?" She said, "Because waiting is living too, and if I don't pay attention, I'll miss something beautiful." That day, he started bringing a notebook, not to draw, but to write. Ideas, stories, dreams. The bus still came at the same time, but now the wait meant something. What you do with the in-between, life is full of in-between moments. Waiting for test results, waiting in traffic, waiting for change. But these in-between spaces aren't empty. They're rich with possibility. If you use them, you can reflect. You can plan. You can rest. You can grow. Waiting doesn't mean wasting, unless you choose to do nothing. Even a paused moment can move your life forward. The secret of tiny minutes: big change doesn't need big time. It needs tiny minutes, used well. You don't need an entire afternoon to learn something. You just need 10 minutes of full focus. You don't need a vacation to reconnect with yourself. You just need a quiet walk with your phone on silent. You don't need to wait for the weekend to feel alive. You can sing while washing dishes. You can stretch while your coffee brews. You can smile at the stranger who looks tired. You don't need more time. You need to feel the time you already have. The myth of being too late. Many people live with quiet regret. They whisper to themselves, "I should have started earlier. I wasted so much time. It's too late for me." But listen carefully. Time lost is not life lost, unless you keep repeating it. The best way to honor time you wasted is to stop wasting more. Your past doesn't decide your future. Every sunrise resets your opportunity. Every breath is proof you're still becoming. The hours you can never buy back. Have you ever tried to rewind a moment just to feel it again, to say something different, to stay a little longer? But life doesn't work that way. There's no rewind button, only memory, only lessons, only forward. And that's why every hour you live is sacred. It will never repeat, never return, never be yours again. So what you do with your next hour, that's where your power lives, the cost of just one more thing. You tell your child, "Just one more email and I'll come play." But they grow fast, and one day they stop asking. You tell your body, "Just one more month of no sleep, then I'll rest." But your health keeps the receipt. You tell your dreams, "Just one more excuse, then I'll start." But soon the fire is gone. Every just one more thing is a trade. And most people don't notice the cost until it's too late. A simple dinner that meant everything. A woman once said the best night of her life wasn't her wedding, wasn't her graduation, wasn't her promotion. It was a Tuesday night dinner, nothing fancy, just her family, laughter, warm food, no phones. She didn't even realize how special it was until a year later when her father passed away. Now, every time she eats dinner, she remembers that moment. The light in his eyes, the sound of his laugh, the way time stood still, because they were all truly present. Sometimes the most beautiful memories come from the quietest hours. What you choose to remember. You won't remember how many likes you got, or how perfect your plans were, or how busy you stayed. You'll remember connection. You'll remember courage. You'll remember how it felt to truly live. But if you want to remember beauty, you have to live beauty. You have to say yes to the walk. Say, "I love you" first. Close the laptop early. Let the sunlight hit your skin. You must choose what becomes a memory, because time gives you raw material, but you are the one who shapes it into meaning. Time isn't the problem. Many people say, "I don't have time," but that's rarely true. The truth is usually, "I'm giving my time to something else." You don't need 8 extra hours a day. You need to protect the ones you already have. Say no more often. Unfollow noise. Turn off the TV. Speak fewer words. Listen more. Reclaim your time like it's your name, because in many ways, It is a clock with no numbers. There's a powerful exercise taught by a wise old mentor. He said, "Imagine a clock with no numbers. It just has a single hand, and it moves slowly. You don't know if it's morning or night. You don't know how many hours are left. You only know it's moving. Would that change how you live today?" That's exactly how life works. The only difference is you don't see the hand, but it's moving. Always. The people who fill your hours. Look around your life. Who do you spend your time with? Do they fill your spirit or drain it? Do they lift you up or pull you back? Time is not just about what you do. It's about who you do it with. 1 hour with someone who sees you is more healing than 10 hours pretending to be someone else. So choose your circle wisely, because your future is shaped by who gets your time today, how you spend the end of the day when the sun sets. What do you feel? Do you feel peace, pride, regret, disappointment? What we do in our days echoes in our hearts. That's why evening reflection is powerful. You don't need to journal for an hour. You just need one quiet moment to ask, did I live with intention today? Did I spend time where it matters? Would I want to live this day again? That habit alone can reshape your whole life. The power of a time audit. Here's a challenge. For one day, track how you spend every hour. Write it down. Be honest. How many hours were spent doing things you love? How many were automatic? How many were spent with people who energize you? This is not about judgment. It's about awareness. Because you can't fix what you don't see. Once you know where your time goes, you can guide it, like a river. You can build around it instead of drowning in it. When you use time to heal, there's a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't bruise. It just sits quietly inside your chest. Sometimes it comes from heartbreak. Sometimes from loss. Sometimes from years of being too strong for too long. And when people hurt, they often try to escape. They run. They numb. They keep busy so they don't have to feel. But what if you used time differently? What if you gave yourself the space to heal, slowly, gently, honestly? Time doesn't heal everything, but it gives you a place. People often say, time heals all wounds. But that's not completely true. Time alone doesn't heal. It's what you do with time that makes the difference. You can spend 10 years avoiding your pain and never heal, or spend 10 minutes facing it and begin to feel free. Time is the soil. Healing is the seed. You still have to plant it. You still have to water it. You still have to sit with it, even when it's uncomfortable. The day she let herself rest, there was a woman who had been through everything. A bad marriage, a job that drained her, a childhood she didn't want to talk about. She kept going. Always going until one morning she couldn't get out of bed. Her body said, "Enough!" At first she panicked. She felt lazy, weak, broken. But then she did something she hadn't done in years. She let herself stop. She made tea. She turned off her phone. She sat by the window and watched the clouds. For hours, she did nothing. On purpose. And in that silence, she started to feel human again. Sometimes healing begins when you stop rushing to be okay. The courage to be stillness can be terrifying, Because when you're still, you hear the thoughts you've been running from, the questions, the regrets, the fears. But here's the miracle. When you stay in that stillness long enough, it starts to change. The noise becomes clarity. The fear becomes softness. The confusion becomes direction. Stillness isn't empty. It's full of the answers you've been too busy to hear. What you feed grows your attention as a spotlight. Where you shine it, things grow. If you focus on fear, fear grows. If you focus on comparison, insecurity grows. But if you use your time to focus on gratitude, peace grows. If you focus on love, compassion grows. If you focus on your growth, no matter how slow, confidence begins to rise. So ask yourself, what am I feeding with my time? Because whatever you feed today will shape your life tomorrow. A gentle hour can change your year. Most people chase intensity. They want big breakthroughs, huge moments, overnight success. But true transformation is gentle. It happens slowly, quietly. In hours that look boring from the outside, a walk with soft music, a long shower where you cry, writing something that's been stuck in your heart. These moments don't look like much, but they move mountains on the inside. Healing is not loud. It's soft. It's sacred. It's yours. When you give time to someone who hurts, you don't have to fix them. You don't have to say all the right words. You don't have to offer advice. Sometimes all they need is your time. To listen. To stay. To not rush their story. Because in a world that moves fast, staying is love. And love, more than anything else, is what heals. If you ever wonder how to help someone, start by showing up and give them your most generous gift, your presence. Giving. Time to the inner child. There's a younger version of you, still alive inside. Maybe they never got a safe place. Maybe they had to grow up too fast. Maybe they still feel unworthy. One of the kindest things you can do is give them your time. Not with toys or gifts, but with listening, with gentleness, with protection. You can say, you didn't deserve what happened. You did your best. I'm proud of you for surviving. Spend time healing that version of you, because when they feel safe, you start to feel whole. Letting time catch up with you. Sometimes we rush because we're afraid of silence. But the truth is, we need silence to become whole. Think of time as a river. You can't always swim upstream. You can't always push through. Sometimes you need to float. Let the water carry you. Let your breath slow down. Let yourself arrive. Not to a goal, not to a finish line, but to yourself. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to heal. Time as a builder of meaning. Time is not just a healer. It's a builder, a silent builder. You don't always see the work it's doing. But with every minute you invest wisely, something solid begins to grow. Character, discipline, connection, legacy. When you use your time with intention, you're building something far more valuable than success. You're building a life that means something. The man who built one brick a day. There's a true story about a man who built his own home. Not with a team. Not with machines, just himself. And 1 brick each day. People laughed. They said it would take forever. They said it was too slow, but he smiled and kept going. 1 brick. Every day. 3 years later, he moved in. Not just into a house, but into a dream that time had built, one small action at a time. Time doesn't just pass. It shapes. Every hour is a hammer. Every habit is a nail. Every decision is a brick. And whether you realize it or not, you're always building something with your time. Some people build excuses. Some build regret. Some build noise. Some build a life that's full but empty. But others, they build peace. They build skill. They build trust. They build a name that means something because it was shaped over time. Ask yourself, what are you building with your hours? Compound time. There's something magical about compound growth. It means that small things done consistently create massive results over time. It's how money grows. It's how muscles grow. It's how relationships grow. It's how you grow. 5 minutes of language practice every day becomes fluency. One thoughtful message every morning becomes a relationship that lasts years. 1 page a day becomes a book that could change someone's life. Time multiplies what you give it if you stay consistent. The mirror of routine. People often think routine is boring, but the truth is, your routine is your reflection. If your routine is rushed, you feel rushed. If your routine is scattered, you feel scattered. But if your routine is grounded, you begin to feel centered. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Waking up early to move your body, drinking water with awareness, speaking kindly to yourself in the mirror. These small acts, repeated, shape your future. When no one is watching, the real measure of time is not what you do in front of others. It's what you do when no one is watching. Will you still show up for your goals? Will you still speak kindly to yourself? Will you still do the right thing just because it's right? Time is a witness. It watches who you are in private, and it rewards you in public. A legacy of moments. People often think legacy is built through fame, or through money, or through big achievements. But legacy is much simpler than that. It's how you made someone feel in a 5-minute conversation. It's how you treated people who couldn't offer you anything. It's the love, the laughter, the comfort you gave when someone needed it most. You won't be remembered for how fast you replied to emails. You'll be remembered for the moments you were truly present. Moments create memories. Memories create meaning. And meaning, that's what legacy is made of. Your calendar tells a story. Have you ever looked at your calendar and felt like a stranger made it? Meetings, tasks, deadlines, distractions, but where is your soul on the schedule? Where is your joy? Where is your growth? Where is your quiet? You don't need to erase everything, just add what matters. A daily walk, a creative hour, a night without screens, a conversation that fills your heart. Make room for what gives your life color. Because time is not just to survive, it's to feel alive. Use time to make something beautiful. You don't need a studio to be an artist. You don't need a label to be a singer. You don't need millions to be a giver. You just need time, used well. Write the poem, plant the seed, paint the canvas, call the friend, say the truth, dance to that one song, even if you're alone. This is not about productivity. This is about creation. Let your life become a piece of art, built slowly, carefully, with love, 1 hour at a time. Time, love, and what you might never get to say. Time isn't just what you spend on tasks or goals. It's also what you spend on people, on relationships, on the words you say, and the ones you keep inside. Because the most painful words aren't the ones you say and regret. They're the ones you never said. And time. Time doesn't always give you a second chance. The phone call he never made. There was a man who hadn't spoken to his brother in 5 years. They had fought. Pride got in the way. Days became months. Months became years. Every birthday he thought about calling. Every New Year he promised himself he would. But time kept passing. One morning he got the news. His brother had died in a car accident. He held the phone in his hand, staring at a number he never dialed. And he whispered, "I thought I had more time." Say it now. You don't need the perfect moment. You don't need perfect words. You just need to speak while you still can. Tell them you're sorry. Tell them you forgive them. Tell them they matter. Tell them you love them, even if it feels awkward, even if you're not sure how they'll respond. Because once time closes that door, you'll wish you had knocked harder. Giving time. Instead of things, most people think love is shown through gifts, through big gestures, through money. But here's the truth. Your time is the greatest proof of your love. When you sit down and listen fully. When you show up, even when it's inconvenient. When you stay present, even in silence. That's love. That's saying, you matter enough for me to give you the most valuable thing I have, my time. The time we waste on ego pride costs a lot, and the most expensive thing it costs you is time. How many moments have been lost because someone wouldn't say, "I was wrong"? How many memories were never made because of one person's silence? How many years were spent pretending instead of healing? You don't have to be the one who's right. You just have to be the one who cares more about connection than control. Let go of ego. Reach out first, so you don't spend the rest of your life holding on to time that you could have shared. The child who just wanted time. A father worked all day, every day. He bought his daughter toys, books, clothes, everything she wanted. But one evening, she said something that stopped him cold. "Daddy, I don't want a new toy. I want you to come play with me." He realized something important. She didn't want more things. She wanted more him. That night, he sat on the floor with her for an hour. They built a castle out of blocks, and for the first time in months, he felt like a real father again. Kids don't remember what you buy. They remember how much of you they got. Time is how you spell. Love, you don't spell love with 4 letters, you. Spell it with minutes, hours, attention, presence. Love isn't loud. It's quiet and consistent. It's showing up when you're tired. It's staying longer than you planned. It's remembering the little things, the way they take their coffee, the song that makes them smile, the date that changed their life. Love is what you give, not just what you say, and time is the wrapping that makes it real. Being there while they're still here, you never know which hug will be the last. Which photo will be the final one? Which conversation will echo in your mind years from now? That's not a reason to be sad. It's a reason to be present, to stop assuming you'll have another chance, to stop waiting until you're less busy, to say yes to the walk, to pick up the phone, to sit beside them, without scrolling, without checking the clock. Because one day the house will be quiet, the messages will stop, the seat across from you will be empty, and all that will matter is whether you were there when it counted. Time and the love you give yourself, don't forget this. You're a person too, and you deserve your own time to rest, to breathe, to feel, to create, to just be. Give yourself time without guilt, without needing to earn it, without calling it lazy. Loving yourself is not a reward for finishing your to-do list. It's a right. It's a necessity. It's what keeps your heart full enough to give love to others. Time and the life you're meant to build. There's something inside you that doesn't need to be told what matters. You feel it in your chest, in the stillness, in the longing. It's the whisper that says, you're here for something more, not something louder, not something bigger, but something truer. And the only way to find it is to give it time. You don't find purpose, you grow it. Many people wait to be called, to feel clear, to have a moment of lightning in the sky, but purpose rarely arrives like that. It shows up in quiet hours, in trying something new, in failing and still returning. You don't find purpose by thinking harder. You find it by giving your time to what feels meaningful, little by little, step by step, brick by quiet brick. The student who swept floors. A young man worked in a music studio, not as a singer, not as a technician, as a janitor. He cleaned the floors, emptied the trash, organized the instruments after everyone went home. But he loved music. So every night, after his shift, he stayed behind and practiced for 1 hour. No one saw him, but over time his voice grew. His skills sharpened. His songs got better. 10 years later, he became a world-famous recording artist. People thought he was an overnight success. But what they didn't see were the hours when no one clapped, the time he gave before he had the title. Time is. Your vote, every minute you spend, is a vote for the kind of life you're building. You don't need big declarations. If you want to be a writer, write for 10 minutes a day. If you want to be healthy, move for 20. If you want to love better, put your phone down and listen. You're casting votes with your calendar, and eventually, those votes become your reality. So ask yourself, what am I voting for with my time? When purpose feels far away, it's okay if you don't feel on fire about anything right now. Not everyone wakes up with clarity. Not every path starts with a spotlight. Sometimes you just begin with curiosity. You explore, you try, you create, you serve, you show up, and one day you'll look back and realize that the tiny things you gave your time to weren't random. They were roots, and now they've become something real. Time is how you find what matters. You don't always know what matters most until you give time to it. Time reveals. Time deepens. Time makes the invisible visible. You didn't know that person would become your best friend until you spent time with them. You didn't know that hobby would become healing until you kept coming back to it. You didn't know you were strong until time gave you the chance to keep going when it was hard. Meaning is discovered slowly and always, always through time. The quiet builder's life. There's something special about people who don't chase attention, who don't try to be everywhere or liked by everyone. They wake up, they build, they stay kind, they do the work, day after day. No big announcements, no need for applause, but when you look at their life years later, it's steady, it's peaceful, it's full. That's what time can build, if you're patient. A quiet, beautiful life. Built from showing up, what feels meaningful will never waste your time. Even if it doesn't bring money, even if no one sees it, even if it's slow, even if it only matters to you, if it brings you joy, if it connects you to something bigger, if it reminds you of who you are, then it's not a waste. Time given to meaning is never time lost. Becoming who you're meant to be, you're not behind. You're not late. You're not too old. You're not too tired. You're becoming. Right now, as you listen, you're in the process of growth, not because of a huge decision, but because you're choosing to be present, to reflect, to care. That's how change begins, and that's how you find the life you were always meant to live. Protecting your time and living before it's gone. By now, you've probably realized something powerful. Your time is not just about productivity. It's not just about doing more. It's about doing what matters and protecting it with everything you've got. Because the truth is, the world is always asking for your time. Advertisements, notifications, obligations, expectations. But just because something asks for your time doesn't mean it deserves it. Saying no is a form of self-respect. You don't need to feel guilty for saying no. No to extra work that steals your peace. No to people who leave you drained. No to distractions that lead nowhere. Every no you say is really a yes to something deeper. Yes to rest. Yes to creativity. Yes to your family. Yes to you. Your time is your responsibility. Guard it like it matters, because it does. The power of boundaries. Think of time like a garden. If you don't fence it, anyone can walk in, take what they want, leave a mess. But when you protect your garden, you choose what grows. You give light to your passions. You pull the weeds of comparison. You create space to breathe. Boundaries are not walls. They're invitations to be intentional. They don't keep everyone out. They let the right people in, on your terms. When you feel like you're falling behind, everyone else looks so fast, so polished, so far ahead, and you wonder, am I wasting my time? But here's what you need to remember. Your path is not a race. It's not supposed to look like theirs. You are not behind. You are building at your own pace, and sometimes the most beautiful things. Take time to rise. A mountain doesn't apologize for not blooming like a flower. It simply stands and becomes what it was meant to be. Time is not a threat. We often treat time like an enemy. I'm running out. I'm getting older. I've wasted too much. But what if time wasn't chasing you? What if it was walking beside you? Patiently, quietly, waiting for you to notice. Time is not here to punish you. It's here to help you unfold. Not faster, not louder, but deeper. You don't need more hours. You need more presence in the ones you already have. The art of a full day. What makes a day feel full? Not how much you did, not how many boxes you checked, but how much of you was there. Did you feel something real? Did you help someone? Did you laugh, cry, connect, grow? A full day isn't busy. It's meaningful. And sometimes it's very simple. A clean room, a slow walk, one kind conversation, one deep breath of peace. That's enough. That's everything. Letting go of guilt. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to enjoy. You're allowed to not be productive every hour of the day. Time is not just for building, it's for being. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your quiet moments, or for saying, I need space. You don't have to earn rest through exhaustion. Rest is part of the rhythm of life, just like breath, just like sleep, just like love. You are not a machine. You are a soul, and you deserve gentle time. A day fully lived, at the end of it all, you won't ask, how many meetings did I attend? Or, how busy did I look on social media? You'll ask, did I love well? Did I live fully? Did I use my time to become who I really am? Because time is not just a resource, it's a mirror, and how you spend it is how you tell the world who you are. The sacredness of small moments. We often look for the big moments, the milestones, the breakthroughs, the dramatic changes. But time isn't only made of big moments. It's mostly made of quiet ones. The seconds you don't post online, the minutes no one claps for, the hours that feel ordinary. But they're not. They're sacred. Because they're yours. The light, through the window. There's a woman who wakes up every morning before sunrise, not to work, not to rush, just to sit and watch the light come through her kitchen window. She sips her tea. She listens to the birds. She breathes deeply. Some might call that doing nothing, but she calls it coming home to herself. 1 hour of quiet fills the rest of her day with peace. That's what sacred time looks like. It doesn't need a stage, just presence. You don't have to be anywhere else. There's pressure to always be improving, to always be leveling up, to always be reaching. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I'm exactly where I need to be. You're not wasting time when you're resting. You're not falling behind when you're healing. You're not failing because you're moving slow. You're simply living. And life doesn't follow your calendar. It follows your heart. A story from a park bench. There was an old man who sat on the same bench every day. People wondered what he was doing. He had no phone, no notebook, no visible purpose. One day, a boy asked him, "What are you doing here every day?" The man smiled and said, "I'm watching life. I'm remembering that it's enough to be alive." That boy never forgot those words, and years later, when he grew tired of chasing things that didn't matter, he went back to that park, sat on the same bench, and let himself just be. You don't need to earn. This moment, you don't have to finish everything on your list to enjoy your day. You don't need to prove your worth to allow yourself a smile. You don't need a special occasion to light a candle, put on your favorite song, or look up at the stars. This moment is already here. It's already sacred, because you're in it, and you are enough for this moment. Just as you are, time is what turns breath into meaning. Think of someone you love. Think of their laugh, their hands, the way they say your name. What do you feel? Warmth, memory, presence, all of that is made of time. The time you spent together, the time you chose to care, the time you didn't rush away. That's what life is built from. Moments that look small on the outside, but hold the entire universe inside your chest. Being awake to life. You don't need to change the world. You just need to be awake to the part of it that's yours, to the smile from the stranger, to the way rain sounds on your window, to the feeling of your feet touching the floor in the morning. Being awake doesn't mean being busy. It means noticing. It means saying thank you. It means slowing down enough to let wonder return. Time can't give you more life, but presence can make life feel longer. Don't miss what you already have. So many people chase joy. While standing in the middle of it, they look ahead, search far, run fast. But often, the thing they're chasing is already here. In the sound of your child's voice, in the way your pet greets you at the door, in the warm water on your skin, in the fact that you're breathing right now. Don't miss it. Don't sleep through it. Don't postpone it for later. This moment is your life. This hour is your gift. Use it. Living with time, not against it. By now, you've heard the stories, you've felt the silence, you've remembered the things that really matter. And maybe, just maybe, something inside you is shifting. You're not the same person who pressed play on this episode, because now you understand something most people forget. Time is not money. Time is not pressure. Time is not your enemy. Time is your companion, your teacher, your most loyal gift. The days you still have. There are days ahead you haven't lived yet, laughs you haven't had, people you haven't met, ideas you haven't discovered, places you haven't stood. And every one of those future moments will be made from the hours you choose to protect, starting today. You can't control how much time you have, but you can control how deeply you live it. What you'll remember at the end of your life. You won't remember how much you earned. You won't remember how organized your calendar was. You won't remember how busy you were. You'll remember the way your child's hand fit in yours, the sound of a friend's laughter, the walk you took when you finally forgave yourself, the courage it took to start something new, the peace you felt watching the sky turn orange at sunset. Those are the hours that stay, not because they were long, but because they were full. Every hour is a door. Every hour you live is a door. You can walk through it numb, distracted, rushed, or you can pause, breathe, choose. You can walk through that door with purpose, with curiosity, with love. And behind that door is a version of your life that feels more like you, not perfect, but real, honest, alive. You are the author of your time. You are not powerless. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are the author of your time, and starting now, you get to rewrite the story. You get to close chapters that drain you. You get to open pages that bring you joy. You get to add silence, color, and peace between the lines. You get to slow down, to speed up, to change direction, to come home to yourself. One word: 1 hour. One brave, quiet step at a time. A simple promise. So here's a promise you can make to yourself. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to honor your time. A little more each day, with a little more love, a little more presence, a little more honesty. Because time is not just what you spend, it's what you become. And you're becoming something beautiful. And now, this moment, let's bring it all back to this very moment, right here, right now. You're breathing, you're listening, you're alive. And that means you still have time. Time to say what matters. Time to rest. Time to grow. Time to laugh. Time to forgive. Time to begin again. The clock is still ticking, but not to rush you, to remind you. You are still here. You still have a gift. And that gift is time. And now, here we are. If you've made it to the end of this episode, then you've done something powerful. You've given your time to something. That matters. You didn't rush. You didn't scroll past. You stayed. And that says a lot about you. Because the truth is, we don't get our time back. But we can choose how we use it from this moment on. So take this with you. Your time is not small. It's not forgettable. It's not something to waste. It's your greatest gift. Use it with love. Use it with purpose. Use it to build the kind of life you're proud to live. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care of your minutes, and they'll take care of your life.